All right. Hello, hello. I'm going to let everyone get in and get settled. I always like to take a look at the participants thing. It's like watching one of those tickers that just. So we are so excited. Welcome. We are excited to have you here with us today. I'm going to give a few moments for us to get logged in and signed in and settled in because we have some stuff to talk about, don't we? Do me a favor as you're joining us. Come on in, throw your name into the chat. And tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're joining us from. That is always so exciting for us to see all the women that join us from all across the world. And it's always pretty interesting. Sometimes we get some like Australias and Londons and all kinds of stuff. So let me hear it, shout it out. I got Lisa McAfee from Santa Ana College. Hey there, Alex from NC, Shelly Johnson, DeKalb, Illinois. Great to have you here. Thank you so much. We got Austin, Texas in the house. Come on in. I got Madison from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Kenosha, did I say that right, Madison? Erica from She Should Run in Silver Springs, Maryland. Hello, my colleague and my friend. We have New York City in the house. San Francisco, you're right around the corner. Paula from Miami. Elizabeth from Washington. Come on in. Hey, Reflect Us. How are you doing? Good to see you, our coalition friends. Joe Roberts, Hartford, Connecticut. Hello, hello. This is so great, and like the ticker just goes up. It's so awesome every time we do this. This is my favorite part, to be honest, is to watch everyone come on in here and get settled. Wherever you're joining us from, we're so happy that you're here and took the opportunity and time to hang out with us for a little bit, and hope that the information that you received today is value added. Matter of fact, I know it will be value added. So while you're getting settled, grab your coffee, your drink, whatever it is, your notepad, because I want you to take really good notes and ask some good questions. We have a great lineup for you today. So I'm going to give it a few more seconds to get everyone settled. And then I want to jump in because I am super excited to start having these conversations. So if you're just joining us, that's great. We're glad you're here. Drop your name and where you're located at in the chat so we can know who is here with us today. So I am very excited for this next step, and you all just taking the opportunity to be a part of this journey where She Should Run and have us be a part of your journey. It's so amazing. Cindy is from Chicago, Illinois. What's up, Cindy? How you doing? Shout out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a cohort member. Awesome. So glad to see you here. Come on through. We made it, Cindy. Abby's from Boston, Massachusetts. So good to see you, Abby. I'm going to jump in and get started, folks. My name is Mishon Montgomery, and I am the Director of Programs for She Should Run, and also be your facilitator for this morning or afternoon. I'm out here in Las Vegas, so it's only 9 o'clock here. Wherever you're joining us from, we thank you for being here and for sharing this part of your day with She Should Run. Now, as a reminder, I want you to note that this session is being recorded. So tell your friends it's all good. If they didn't make it today, no worries. It is being recorded, but you stay on because there's going to be some great conversation, things that happen in the chat. So make sure you hang in there with us because it's going to be great. I want to let you know that closed captioning is available in the CC box at the bottom of your screen. And we also have our ASL interpreter joining us today. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we want to invite you to use the chat to participate. So just like I was saying, where you put your name and your location, use that chat to participate throughout the duration of the webinar. And Kathleen Kiernan is in the chat. She will handle any questions or make sure that I get a big red flag to say, hey, check out the chat right now. Somebody asked something really good. Additionally, we do have a guest panelist today. Ms. Debra Roberts will be joining us. And so if you have questions for Debra, that will happen about 30 minutes into the webinar, throw those in the Q&A box, which is also located at the bottom of your screen. And we'll try to answer as many questions as we can, time permitting. This is a very value-added webinar, so I want to get to as many of the questions as I can. Now, lastly, but certainly not least, you will have an opportunity to complete an evaluation at the end of this webinar. We ask that you please take the time to complete this 2-minute survey. We welcome your feedback here at She Should Run. And what we do is we use that feedback to craft our future offerings. So let us know how this went. Do I need to do it again in the future? What would you like to see so that we can make sure we're getting that for you? Now, for some of you, you may be joining us for the second, third, or fourth time. You love the enthusiasm. So you keep coming back. And to you all, I say hello again, and thank you for your continued support of She Should Run. And for some of you, this may be your very first interaction with She Should Run. And to you, I say hello and welcome. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the family. So to get us started, please allow me to share a little bit about She Should Run and gloss over what we're going to be talking about today. Now, She Should Run was founded in 2011 by our founder and CEO, Aaron Los Coturo, and we are a national nonpartisan nonprofit 501c3 organization that increases the number of women considering a run for public office. And we do that by helping them realize their potential. So it's really cool. What we do, we encourage women from all walks of life. Doesn't matter where you come from, all walks of life, to explore the possibility of running for office. Isn't that amazing? Just think about it. And we identify and tackle some of those barriers to elected leadership through data-driven content. We use education, just like this webinar, and collective action to get after that. No matter where you came from, no matter what you look like, I want you to know that your unique perspective is needed in government. And while these webinars are truly a labor of love for our team, they do require a commitment of time and dollars to make it happen. So when you all chip in with a small donation or contribution towards our work, you help to keep resources just like this one free and available to women from all walks of life. So if you're inclined to do so, if your heart is moved at some point throughout the webinar, whether it's $3, $5, $20, whatever, every dollar we raise moves that needle on our work. And what we want to see is 250,000 women in public office by 2030. So if you want to help, Kathleen's dropped in the chat a donation link. Use that at your discretion. We thank you as always. And lastly, but certainly not least, let me send that special shout out to the Crimson Bridge Foundation for their support of the She Should Run Breaking Barriers webinar series. So thank you, Crimson Bridge. You are truly appreciated. So our webinar topic for today, you are here today because you want to know how to get started in politics. Now, I want to clear the air before we dive in. I want y'all to settle in with me now. Join me, okay? We're doing this. Running for office is not an easy decision for anyone to make. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, everyone here. It's not an easy decision to make. And I want you to know that just joining this webinar is a huge step for some of you. It's a huge step. I mean, you said how to get started in politics and signed up. That's deep. And it means that you're truly contemplating the next steps when it comes to getting involved in politics. You may be wrestling with the idea of running for office, or you may have already made the decision to put your name on the ballot. So we have women at various stages on their journey. But no matter where you are on your journey, and that journey is so unique to you. I'm looking at you. It is unique to you. So take your right hand right here, and then take your left hand like this. I want you to slap them together a few times and show yourself some love. Show yourself some love because you showed up, you signed up, and you showed up for this webinar today. And folks, that means you are getting started. So please, love it. So with that, my favorite quote I have shared with you today from Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American Congresswoman. And it says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. I want you to grab your folding chair, folks, and let's get started. Let's do this. So what are we going to talk about? Now, as I said, right, running for office is not an easy decision to make. And as a matter of fact, it involves sacrifice. Now, let's be honest. In many cases, running for office is a competition, and it can be tough. You have primaries, you got general elections, runoff. Now, I don't say this to scare you. I say this to say, if you are here and you are thinking about running, make sure that you put yourself in the best possible position to win before you take that plunge. And so you say, probably, Mishon, that's what I'm here for. What's the best possible position? What does that require? And that's what we're here to discuss. Now, any program that you sit through, they recognize that everyone is at their own place in this journey. Some of you are joining us because you're not quite ready to put your name on the ballot. And that's fine, but you want to get more civically engaged. We got you. And some of you are exploring your curiosity around a future run for office. If that's you, I want to help guide you on your journey with information on cultivating your why and understanding your what, your when, your who. And on the other hand, some of you are ready now. Like if I told you could put your name on the ballot today, you'd be like, sign me up, coach, right? So everybody's at a unique stage, and we recognize that. And what I want you to do is know that I've crafted like a few tips and ideas for every woman at every part of this journey. So just know that, right? We're going to talk about those who want to help. We're going to talk about those who are cultivating their curiosity. We're going to talk about being ready to run and now what. And then we're going to culminate with our Q&A session with our guest panelist, Vice Chair to the Stoughton Select Board, Debra Roberts. Now, I want to share with you, because I'm talking really, really fast because I want to get it in there, but remember that this webinar is being recorded and you can rewatch it at any time by logging into your She Should Run account and clicking on webinars. And if you are not a member of the She Should Run community, that is step one. Folks, step one, go join the She Should Run community. We continue these conversations in our community through exclusive events just for our members. So make sure that you sign up today. All right. I got thumbs up. I believe we are ready to rock and roll. So let's get into it. Now, some of you are at the very beginning stages of your journey. And you can't even imagine running for office, but you do want to help. And that is amazing. Like, that's a great start. And as a matter of fact, engaging in civic life and making a difference in your community is a great way to start. It's that desire that actually leads so many people to eventually take part in the political process. So I want you to know, like, when you're like, I don't know yet, that's fair, but you want to do something, that's right. That's where a lot of people start. So where there's a lot of ways to kickstart your civic engagement, I've highlighted some of the common ways here for us to discuss. And depending on where you are in your journey, you may be doing some of these things, you may be doing all of these things already. We know that. Share that knowledge. So if you're just getting started, this connection that you're going to build with your community, it's key to running for office, and it starts with steps just like these. So let me run through really fast. We have volunteer for a political campaign. This is one of the easiest ways to learn about what goes into a campaign. Volunteering for a campaign, what you'll do is you'll do things like make phone calls, you'll send text messages, you'll canvass door to door to advocate for that potential candidate. Now, volunteers are who candidates rely on to spread that grassroots enthusiasm about their campaign and their cause. Now, I'm going to give you some pro tips, some big notes as we move through this webinar. So here's your first pro tip. When you volunteer for a campaign, you network with others and build networking support altogether. So you're networking with other people and you're building your support system. It's like free candidate training and free networking all in one. Volunteering for a campaign is amazing. And I want to answer this question that we get all the time. How do I volunteer for a campaign? I got you. The internet and social media has made this the easiest process that you can think. It's ridiculous. You research the candidate running for office. And I want you to think about researching the candidate running for the office that you are interested in. Research the candidates running for office and the one that you might want to run in, and then choose the candidate to support, the person that you share the same values with. And then what you're going to do is find that candidate's campaign website or contact their campaign on social media, and you want to register to volunteer. That's really it. They all have a volunteer link somewhere along the journey. So you want to register to volunteer. And then once they contact you, you're going to agree on a schedule and responsibilities. Now, what I want to challenge you, Mishon is going to challenge you right now. This is a great way for you to volunteer. If you're afraid of fundraising, if that's your biggest thing, go volunteer on a campaign and volunteer in fundraising so that you can set up that part of your world before you even get to a space of putting your name on the ballot. You can learn from somebody else's campaign and what they have going on. And then the last part is to carry out those volunteer activities as agreed. Now that seems really simple. It's volunteer and then go show up. But remember right now that if you are thinking about running for public office at some point along your journey, you're campaigning today. So when you say you're going to show up, you show up. This is your name that you're cultivating as you put it out there. So make sure that you hold true to what you say you're going to do when you volunteer or give up your time and say that you're going to support. They're looking for you to be present. Now, another thing that you can do is start paying attention to the political news, paying attention to what's happening in your community. It's going to help you as you start cultivating that conversation with your people, their voters, your constituents. You're going to be able to hold those intelligent and thoughtful conversations about the issues. I'm going to say this word back to back 3 times. Read, read, read. Read, that's 4. Read, that's 5. Read your local newspaper. Read the national publications. Whatever you can get your hands on, read it, listen to it, podcast. And while you're reading and listening, you're going to start hearing some problems that are issues maybe in your town, your city, your state. And I want you to start thinking about solutions yourself and form your own opinion on what should be done. And it's going to set you apart, folks, when you get ready to run, because you'll be aware of issues plaguing your area and already have solutions kind of like stored in the store bank, and you're ready to offer them up on a platter. So the next thing, listen, is to contribute money to political candidates. This is something you could do from home. Politics costs money, and donations are a way to get involved without even leaving your house. And so consider donating directly to a campaign. You can donate to advocacy groups. I want to share with you, it was the 2008 presidential election where Barack Obama's campaign was heavily funded by small donations, and he won, you know? So your donations matter, and they count towards a candidate's ability to raise awareness, get their name out there, and campaign. And you can always find the donation button on anybody's campaign. Donation buttons are huge. And there's a reason for that, and you'll recognize that as you start running as well. And that leads me to kind of my next bullet: join or volunteer with a nonprofit organization. So for those you're not ready to run, go out there and spend your time with nonprofit organizations. And they tend to organize around advocacy for specific issues. So for instance, She Should Run, we encourage women from all walks of life to consider running for public office. When you start being a part of these nonprofits, you know, and you might be attending meetings, you might go on marches or rallies, you might do some of the staffing for the local offices. What you want to do is look out for emails from nonprofits that support you and support for volunteer requests, and make that decision to get involved. So in the interest of time, I only hit a few key ways that you can get civically involved today, but I want you to know that there's like hundreds. And when I say hundreds, there are hundreds of ways to activate your civic engagement. If you don't believe me, check out this article. Kathleen's going to drop it in the link in the chat for you. It's an article from Brookings where they offer 76 ways to boost your civic engagement. So Kathleen, drop that link for them if you will. And if you have ways that you're civically engaged, share that in the chat, or log into the She Should Run community and drop a message sharing your civic engagement activities. This is how we're going to do this, right? As we share with one another. So if you've got ways, I want to see them in the chat, and we'll highlight some of those. But civic engagement is a great way to start. Now, for some of you on the line with us today, you're in the curiosity stage. You're thinking about running for office, but you're not quite ready. And that's fine. You're not quite ready to commit, but you're like, I know I want to do it at some point. So what I want to give you is 4 things that you need to figure out to assist in moving you from that curiosity to consideration stage. And I think this is a good, like, take these notes here, because I'm going to break this down for you. And your why, your what, your when, and your who. Your why, your what, your when, and your who. So let's start with the why. Now, this is the famous question, and we've all heard it. Why do you want to run for office? Now, in your lifetime, you've probably heard this question, I don't know, hundreds of times, and maybe answered hundreds of ways. Now, I'm probably dating myself when I say hundreds of times, but you've heard this question. It's always the question, why do you want to run for insert that office? So people say, you know, from helping their community to advocating for a specific cause. But this is by far the most important question that you will be asked, and the one that you need to have crafted before you take another step on this journey. So hear me what I'm saying. Your why is the most important question that you need to have crafted. It's for some of you, this why are you running for office question, it comes easy. You answer it, it flows out. For others, your response might be a little muddy right now, and you haven't quite figured it out yet. Knowing why you're running for office, what you want to do when you get there, and being able to effectively articulate that to anyone who asks is step 1 on this journey. Honestly, it's critical to being a successful candidate, if I'm being honest with you. Your why needs to be extremely specific, and you need to know what issues or problems you want to solve and why you're the best person to solve them. I'm going to say that again. You want to know what issues or problems you want to solve and why you are the best person to solve them. Start thinking about it. Now, running for office for the right reasons is critical as well, not only to gaining support, but also to winning. So if you lack passion, I promise it will be evident to your voters. So think long and hard before you launch your campaign, because you don't want to commit to a race that you don't want to be in, and you don't want to get elected to an office and only realize that you really don't want to do the job. That would be bad, right? It wouldn't feel good, and then you wouldn't be having a joyous experience. So how do we do this why thing, cultivating and crafting that, right? So you start crafting this why. I want you to think about the following. Why do you want to serve? It's a beautiful question. Why do you want to get involved in this? What do you personally care about? And how does what you care about relate to getting involved in politics? And I also want you to think about, what are your values? And values are huge, because it's going to help you figure out your alignment with the office that's for you. And She Should Run does a great job. We have actually a values clarification worksheet. I believe Kathleen's going to drop that in the chat for you there. And if you log into the community, you can find the values clarification worksheet, and it'll help you start to craft out those values. So here's an honest truth bomb for a minute. Let me drop some honest truth, okay? Before you run, I want you to take the time to ask yourself if running for office and being in office is really what you want to do. Will you do what it takes to be committed? Will you raise the money? Will you go out there and knock on the doors? Will you meet the voters? All of these things are going to take time away from your job and from your family. And so for many, the cost of what it takes to win is something they don't fully appreciate or even understand before they run. And so I want you to start putting some of this into your mind when you start speaking about that why and crafting out your values. This is going to be a huge step in your journey. And this why, it'll show up again and again. And you want to make sure that why is strong enough to carry you through. All right, so we got our why. Now let's move on to the what. What office will you run for? What office you run for comes with a lot of thought and planning. I mean, there are so many offices out there. It's ridiculous. So you have to go out there and figure out which one is the one that lines up for you. So as an elected official, you can accomplish so many things. I mean, folks, you can, depending on the seat that you're in, improve the quality of education in schools. You can provide street lighting. You can get new airport terminals built. You can, improve wastewater treatment. You can do so much in office, but you have to be in the right office for the right action. You have to be in the right office for the right action. So once you start thinking about what office you want to run for by considering what office addresses that problem that you want to solve, that you crafted from your why. You see how this plays together? You have your why. And then when you start thinking about that office, what office is going to solve that issue? Other things you can consider are the requirements of the job and how it's going to affect your life. Are you going to need to quit your job for the role? If so, does the position pay enough to support your lifestyle, yourself, your family? And if you don't need to quit your job, how are you going to balance all of this together? The job, the role, the other obligations, work, school, family, etc. All these things are unique to you and your journey. And it's something that you have to start thinking about when you're thinking about what office is for you. Now, She Should Run has made discovering your what a little easier by creating the which public office should you run for quiz. And it's short and might I add fun. This quiz is going to match your personality and interest to a potential office that's right for you. It's free to take, and it provides you with the next steps to pursue the office you match with. So Kathleen's going to drop that in the link as well, or in the chat. Give it a shot, and then log into the community and share your results with us. And we want to hear from you, like what came out of it, and do you think, thanks, Jill, we appreciate you. I see you out the side of my other screen. Jill said the quiz is amazing. It really is a good quiz. And I just want to share with you another pro tip. Selecting which office you will run for takes research, planning, networking, and time. So knowing your why will help speed this up, because you will naturally gravitate towards positions that will help you get after the problems that you want to solve. You see, once you know what you want to get after, you're going to start gravitating to those offices specifically. But there's a lot of things to consider when selecting your office. Please be patient with yourself on this journey. Okay, so we got the why, we got the what. Let's talk about the when. Now, the when seems fairly simple at first, but it comes with a lot of questions that many of us oftentimes don't consider. So, of course, you want to know when the position that you're interested in is available. That's first. But you also want to consider whether the person in the seat is up for re-election and what the record looks like. That's huge. And doesn't mean that you can't run and that you can't win, but it will framework some of your next steps. So is it the right time for you to run, or should you consider volunteering some of your time until your circumstances allow for more advantageous opportunity? Something to think about. Qualifications. Okay, qualifications, they come up a lot in our discussions. And what happens is women often feel that they are not qualified because they don't know everything about politics. Here is a pro tip. Take it down, jot it down, write it big. You do not need to know everything about politics to get started. You do not. At She Should Run, we say, if you care, you are qualified. And that is very true. If you care, you're qualified. And so when you go out there and you start getting civically engaged, you start networking, you start meeting people, all of those things that you need to know will come into play. And that's if I can't share anything with you, if you care, you're qualified. But I want to be honest truth moment, as always. Once you have determined which position you want to run for, you do have to determine the requirements for that position. And different positions have different requirements that must be met. So for instance, there could be an age requirement, there could be a residency requirement, there could be a citizenship requirement. So as you start cultivating your curiosity around running for office, I want you to visit this website. Kathleen's going to drop it. I'm giving you nuggets here. This is golden. www.runforoffice.org. And what you can do is check out some of the available offices. It's going to tell you filing deadlines and more. So always, you can contact your city clerk. I'm going to say city clerk so many times today. City clerk, they're going to have some of the most up-to-date information for the office that you're interested in running for, if it's a local race. Reach out to your city clerk. If you don't know your city clerk, go down there, take the city clerk a lunch or something, because city clerk is going to help you out. So I have a few things on here that I need to share with you about health, community involvement, and Googling yourself. I got to do it because it's good stuff. But let's start with health. I want you to consider your physical health as well as your mental health when you start talking about cultivating your curiosity for running. Canvassing door to door is draining. According to the 2021 political campaign canvassing guide, it's on numero.blog. You can expect to spend an average of 1 to 3 minutes. Check this out, 1 to 3 minutes per door, with a goal of an average of 20 doors an hour. So when someone does answer the door, you spend about 3 to 10 minutes talking with them, establishing that rapport, and then make that progress on your walk sheet. So this means that you are on your feet or out and about for hours, meeting people, holding conversations, etc. And I know this sounds crazy, but I want you to start practicing this now. How can you get out there and start networking, and what does that look like? What is that going to feel like for you physically? And are you up to it? And if you start practicing now, when the time comes, you put your name on that ballot, it'll be something that's second nature to you. And you can start doing that. Now, I'm not suggesting going and knocking on your neighbor's doors just to say hello, but I am telling you, go out there, attend these networking events, start getting out there and meeting people so that you can start establishing these opportunities to have conversations and learn that. And so when I have people asking, what if I'm an introvert? And I'll share with you, introverts can run too. Find that thing that you're passionate about. Once you cultivate that why, you're going to be moving based on that why. And that's going to feel really good and comfortable and help you in that journey. And the same with your mental health. Start building your resilience practice and methods today. We did an entire webinar on criticism and rejection where we taught you how to practice mindfulness and gratitude. So I want you to start working on these things now so that you're ready for tomorrow. And lastly, in respect to when have you Googled yourself? This is huge. And some of us may not like this, but this is the day and time that we live in. You want to start aligning your current online presence with your future political plans. So making a name for yourself starts now. Mark Cuban, I'm going to read a quote from Mark Cuban. He said, the biggest mistake you can make online is allowing every post you create to live on infinitely. Every person you follow on Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, Facebook, every person you retweet, repin, repost, and regram on social media defines who you are. So this is going to be used, he says, this is going to be used not just by online companies, but that's going to be used in every walk of life. So I want to encourage you, honestly, I honestly implore you to Google yourself and set up a Google alert for your name. See what comes up. And if you don't like that old MySpace account that's out there, that's lingering, I just dated myself again, that old MySpace account that's lingering out there, there are these mass delete apps and apps that locate lingering profiles and they delete them. So if you don't want to worry about this because there's companies, you don't like put this on, oh my gosh, what about my profile that's going to keep me from running. There are these companies that handle online reputation management. That is a thing, online reputation management, but it does need to be on your radar. Okay, so we got the why, we got the what, we got the when. Let's clear it up with the who, and then I want to get us over to our guests. So the last W is the who, and there's lots of who's when it comes to running for office. Who's currently in the seat? Who will you represent? Who else is running? Who's supporting you? Who? So who is supporting you is probably one of the most important. You're going to need a support system on this journey, and that support is going to come from your family and your friends and your colleagues. So most of your fundraising and volunteers will come from your inner circle. And if you don't have their support and buy-in, you're unlikely to find it among voters and the wider public. So when you're running for office, it can take a toll on you. It can take a toll on your family and your close relationships. So make sure that you sat down and had these conversations with your family family and your kids, is your support system and who needs to be on board before you put that your name on that ballot. So identify your friends and those potential supporters. And what I want you to do is build a list of people who can help you. Take this away. Watch this. Build a list of people who can help you. You should also create a detailed personal assessment of how that person on your list can help you. So personally, I use the She Should Run network map, and we'll drop that link in the chat for you. I used to have like this big book, and every time I would go out and network with people, I would meet someone and I'd come back and I'd log their name and how we met and what skills they could bring to my campaign when I decide to run. But then I got into She Should Run. I found this network map and I moved everything onto the computer. So out of my big book onto the computer-based document, and it makes it so easy for me. So after I go out, I go to networking events, I do my thing, I come back and I log people in on my networking map, and I categorize them, and it's really great. So you could log into the community and get that networking map. It's free to you. Use that document, and you want to start meeting people now. And as you meet someone, they say, yeah, I'm really good with computers. Great. You want to log their name, and you want to keep up with them. And if that means sending out, an email every now and again to say hello, you do that, because you want to make sure that you have this network built up. So start building that list today. I promise you that this Rolodex will be the backbone of your campaign and fundraising plans. Okay, so I'm at the 9:31. I want to jump over to our guest speaker, but I'm going to run through really fast for those who are ready to run right now. I just have a few quick tips to share with you, but ultimately, if you're ready to run and you have not attended a candidate training program, I want to encourage you to look into it and get to one as soon as possible. There are programs out there, and a quick internet search will begin to navigate that terrain for you. And if you're completely lost, you want to do this, but you don't know where to begin with the campaign training programs, log into the community, come chat with Kathleen and I, and we'll be happy to share some of the programs that we know about. And for those that don't know, that candidate training or campaign training is going to set you up with everything you need to know about campaigning, fundraising, filing, public speaking, creating your story, and so much more. And there are hundreds, and I will say hundreds, of campaign candidate training schools out there. We don't endorse one or the other. It's up to you to find the one that speaks to you. Now, for those of you who are ready to run, this is what I want you to know. I want you to know two things. I want you to know, and I want you to build. I want you to start knowing those filing deadlines and legal requirements about announcing your run. Read the text here, because I want to jump to our Q&A. I want you to know your voter demographics, your district map. I want you to know your win number, and I want you to know who else is running. Okay, and you can get all of that from the city clerk in the public record search. I want you to know how much money you need to win. And you can look at past campaign finance reports for previous elections to see how much candidates spent to reach constituents. I'm going to say that again. You can look up what previous candidates spent to run. You can do that. And depending on your race, you can visit the Federal Election Committee. All right, that's the FEC. And you go to campaign finance and data, and you can just put the person's name in, and you can obtain all that information. You can also visit your city clerk. Notice how many times I say city clerk. Know your network. If you're ready to run, it's time to pull up that Rolodex that we talked about and start reaching out and let them know what's to come. You're ready to run for office and where you need their support. Okay. And then lastly, we're going to build, and I want you to build your campaign team. If you don't have a team yet, start with your kitchen cabinet, folks. Your kitchen cabinet is a family, friends, close colleagues, people you trust. You can't do this alone. You're going to need their support. I want you to build a campaign website and make sure that your website highlights your why, the issues that you want to address, and tells people how to get involved and has ways for them to donate. Okay. And then you're going to build your campaign plan and strategy. And if you don't have this, a campaign manager and/or a campaign school will help you craft it. And the last part, I want you to build your social media handle. So set up that social media handle for the campaign specifically. And I'm going to leave you this golden nugget: purchase your domain name today. If you know you want to run for office, I want you to go out there and I want you to buy your domain name so that it is yours and yours alone, so that someone else can't buy it, like someone else in the competition or another candidate, and then create some type of way to lure your campaign name to a different website that speaks against you or something like that. So you can purchase your domain name today. I think to maintain a domain name costs about between $10 to $25 per year. Okay, I know I went super fast. Reminder, this is recorded and you can always come into the community and come chat with Kathleen and I. We are always here to talk to you. And so all of this information is available to you. We have starter kits, but I want to jump us into this conversation with Debra Roberts. I'm so excited for us to just chat with her. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest panelist, who is a community leader and vice chair to the Stoughton Select Board, Debra Roberts. Now, as a select person, Roberts was appointed to serve as a liaison to the Stoughton Board of Assessors, Stoughton Community Preservation Committee, and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority Advisory Board. Debra is also the chairperson of the newly formed Stoughton Equal Opportunity Committee, advisory committee to the Stoughton Select Board. She's been instrumental in helping the town being selected to participate in the pilot round of the Racial Equity Municipal Action Plan. That's the REMAP program, which was a grant that they received. She holds an MBA from Northeastern University and is a finance manager for the National Telecommuting Institute, which helps Americans with disabilities find at-home positions. I'm just telling you, look, I could run through her resume. This lady is amazing, and I want you to hear from her. So if Debra could share one piece of advice with aspiring women and people of color, what she would say is discover your passion first, then look at your talents and set a game plan to allow you to help in the lives of others. There's always a place for you to be a leader and make a difference. Folks, I'm very excited to bring to you Miss Debra Roberts for this last part of our webinar and this conversation. Debra, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Mishon, for inviting me to speak. And thank you. She Should Run organization members and viewers. I am so excited to be here to tell my story.
Thank you so much. And that's exactly what we want you to do. Why don't you take a few moments and just share with the audience who you are and a little bit about your story, how you got into where you're currently sitting, and any advice that you have just out the gate. And then we'll jump into some of the Q&A.
Okay, great. So throughout my whole adult life, I've lent my talents to helping the underserved population. So because I've always had a career, so my day job, my paying job, and balancing those volunteer activities, I developed a model. It's called the 3P model: the purpose, plan, and progress. So first is the purpose. Identify your purpose. You can find inspiration anywhere. For my beautician, my hairstylist, said she was inspired by watching this children's movie called Robots. That's the one with Robin Williams. You heard his voice, and Halle Berry, you heard her voice. Well, in that movie, it said, find a need, fill a need. Find a need, fill a need. And that's to help you identify your purpose. Now, for me, it was helping the underserved population. In the town of Stoughton, Stoughton has roughly 30,000 residents. It's right outside of the city of Boston. Now it's about 30% of people of color. So just to give you a little bit about the culture. Well, they did not have a diversity and equity and inclusion. And that I formed that. I was one of the founders back in year 2017. Now, I've lived in the town of Stoughton for 33 years. I'm married to a police officer. He's now retired. He was a Stoughton police officer. I have three kids that went through the Stoughton public school system. They graduated, went on to a four-year college, graduated, so they're doing just fine. But we do have to be mindful of the changing times. Stoughton has one set of culture, but my real culture is coming from St. Louis, Missouri. Now, to give you a taste of St. Louis, Missouri, you've heard about the incident in Ferguson, Missouri, right? So that's just a taste. I grew up in the inner city of St. Louis, and that is many times worse than what you've seen with the Ferguson area. And I was recently reminded of St. Louis, Missouri, and my background when I went back to St. Louis in year 2017, because my mother was in her last years of life, right? So all of a sudden it comes back to me how the culture is and how to behave. Here's an example. When I rented my rental car, I didn't buy a high-end car. I rented a car to blend in to the neighborhood because I'm from the inner city and my mother still lived in the inner city. As I was leaving her house to go back to my hotel room, it was, it was not late at night. It was, the sun was probably setting, and I was just about to merge onto the highway, driving the appropriate speed limit. And I was about 4 car lengths away from the car in front of me, merging into the highway 4 car lengths away. I saw the police officer. He saw me. All of a sudden the siren went on. He could see I was Black. I could see he was white. He pulled me to the side. What was my immediate thought? Oh, here we go. I immediately rolled down my windows on the driver's side and on the passenger side. I opened my handbag that is listed on, that was located on the passenger side so they could see I had no weapon. I gripped the steering wheel, expressionless. When the officer approached me, which I knew he would, on the passenger side, he said, "Ma'am, do you know why I stopped you?" After he asked me for my registration and all. I said, "No, sir, I do not." And he says to me, "Well, you were driving too close to the car in front of you. You were driving like you were a drug addict and a drug dealer." I said, "Officer, what is the law regarding the distance from the car in front of you?" He didn't respond. He looked at my driver's license and my registration. He said, "Oh, you're not from here, are you?" "No, sir, I'm not." "How long do you plan to be here?" I said, and why are you here?" But I told him, still holding onto the steering wheel, still expressionless. And then he says, "Okay, you're only going to be here 3 days. Okay, well, there's no law regarding how far the car has to be in front of you, but in my opinion, it should be 6 car lengths." Now, remember, I said 4 car lengths. He gave me back my information, let me go, no further altercations. I immediately called my brother who still lives in St. Louis, on my cell phone. And he says, "Oh, Deb, I forgot to tell you, what they try to do in St. Louis City now is get Black women aggravated so they can arrest them, so they can yank you out of the car, throw you to the ground, and take you off to jail." Now, it doesn't happen in Stoughton, but somewhere in this country, it's happening to Black women. So I want to make sure that all women, all people know the rules of engagement, because remember I said my husband is a police officer and you have rules, and these are rules that I learned from a young child. When I started or founded with others the Stoughton Diversity and Inclusion, these are the type of things that I want to express so people are aware that go on throughout the nation. And there should be laws that help to protect the innocent. Another point, and that's part of my purpose. I didn't feel that I was doing enough for these underserved people as working in a grassroots organization. My best place is to be at the table, to be as a decision maker, so I can make sure that the staff that is hired and that's working with the community is representative of the mix of the community. We have 30% people of color, then let's see some more population of color working in town hall, working in the school systems. That is one of my purposes. when I was instrumental in getting the REMAP, that's the Racial Equity Municipal Action Plan grant. That was one of the action items, which is really a project plan to make that happen, to bring awareness to get more people to work in town, along with being elected officials. And I believe it should start at a younger age. They should be, like student councils that we have in school. They should be more instrumental in knowing about government and, doing fundraising for your prom. That's important, but also knowing about the forms of government that you have. Knowing how decisions are made is very important. So that is determining your purpose, planning, and measurement are the next two steps. Because you can have a purpose, but if you're not planning out your process and also developing metrics to see your success ratio, then you're not going anywhere either. So politics is local. And I don't think there are very few people that can deny that. So understanding the local government is very important, how decisions are made.
I love that.
That's a little bit about me.
Well, listen, first off, I want to thank you for your vulnerability and sharing your true authentic self and your true authentic story. I think a lot of times we try to, sugarcoat our purpose, with the experiences that life has handed us, but the experiences are what drive your purpose. So folks, as you're out there crafting your why, it's your experiences in life. And then something clicks inside of you, something in your gut says, I've got to do something about this. And so Debra, I want to thank you for that, but I also want to ask some questions about like the position and how you felt kind of getting in there, because a lot of people on the line today are either in the stage of, I don't know, maybe they've had some experiences, they know their purpose, but they're still kind of grappling or wrestling with this curiosity point. So what were some of the fears or trepidation about stepping into the political eye and being in that space? What were some of the fears, you can go back to day one or even now and kind of share that, and what are your methods to get through it?
Well, one thing is the town of Stoughton has over 50%. They have 53% female, right? But they don't have a lot of female in government as an elected official. So one of the fears is, wait a minute, I'm stepping into an area that does not have a large population of female. And keep in mind, I am the first Black select person in the town.
Right.
So I had to understand, hey, I'm always going to be a front runner.
I love that.
So okay, get over it. I'm not going to know everything, no matter how much I study. Yes, I have a master's degree and I have multiple advanced degrees, but I'm never going to know everything. So it's important to surround yourself with your network should be people that have more experience in the area that you don't.
Oh, Ms. Debra, please say it again for the people in the back. For the people in the back, folks, if you're on the line, 75 of you here with us right now, listen, she just affirmed the one thing that all of us ask, do I need to know? And it's one of my questions, how much do I need to know about politics to get into politics? And I mean, you kind of spoke to it, but if there's anything else to add on that, but you just said it, Ms. Debra, like, you don't have to know everything, do you? You need to align yourself.
You need to know everything.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a finance person by trade. So my entryway, I talk a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but my entryway was finance. And with church, I like to do financial literacy training. And what was my go-to? My go-to was starting, I'm a town meeting representative. That's a good start to learn about everything that goes on in your town and what you're voting on. The next is I was on the board of assessors.
Right.
That's one of the major revenue generators in any city, town, or county.
Yeah.
Those taxes.
Yeah.
Understanding that. I was on the finance committee, understanding the operational budget, understanding capital project plan. But even with that, and as many years that I have in finance, I'm not going to know everything because things change. So be
Right.
okay with that.
Right.
Be okay with that.
I love that. And, I kind of want to, and I think I know our audience, and I want to talk to the woman who's out there who just cares, who's like, I know I have an issue. I know there's a problem. There's something I want to get after. I've never gotten involved in anything. I'm not on a commission. I'm not on a committee. I don't even know how to get on a commission or a committee. Debra, what would you say to that woman who's sitting at home and is just like, I care about something. I want to do something. I think it's running for office. What's my next step? What would you say to her?
Okay, we already talked about first is building your network. But look at that person that's always involved in something. There's always one or two out there. You always see them doing something. Talk to that person. Invite them out for a cup of coffee.
I love
that. I
that.
just want to talk to you and express what you would like to do, where you see that there is a need, and ask that person how they would suggest that you solve that problem, solve that need.
Yeah.
So find a need, fill a need.
Yes. Find a need, fill a need. And I love that advice. So, if you're on the line with us, I want you to take heed to what Ms. Debra just shared with us. Go out there and find that person. You know them. We see them. If you're on these webinars, you're in your town, go to a city council meeting. You see the people who are up there speaking and talking about. Go have a conversation and ask them, hey, how did you get here? How can I help? What can I do to get involved? And it will start to come to fruition. Deborah, I know for me, this world, I'm a retiring military member, transitioning veteran. I just didn't have a lot of ideas about what was going on. But when I made this decision, I knew something internally. I gravitated to my why. I understood my purpose. I started going out there and just talking to folks. I literally just go to networking events and I'm like, hey, I'm Mishon Montgomery, I'm Mishon Montgomery and I care and I want to help. Right. How can I help you? Folks, I promise you that is really it. I just got back from overseas a couple of years ago, so I'm not rooted. And so the question that I want to ask you is one from one of the viewers today. And it was, what tips do you have for someone who's relatively new to the community? So they just moved a few times recently for grad school. Can someone who hasn't been a longtime resident of a place successfully run for office? What are your thoughts there?
Well, everyone has a different model, a different road to travel. So can you jump right in? Yes. Will it be hard? Yes. But being in an election, getting votes is transactional, but it's not all transactional. It's relational.
Yes.
You have to build relationships.
Come on now.
And that was one of the things that I did, with the George Floyd murder. I was instrumental in having a march, so I was becoming well known in that area, speaking out when I see something that's wrong. Of course, I don't really talk. That's not my tone to talk negatively, but I do talk constructively. So how can we improve this scenario? People needed an outlet when that happened. Now, was that the only thing that happened? No, there are many, many deaths that happened. And what was the trigger? What was the catalyst that people said, this is enough? Find those people that are out there doing things, and we used to call them movers and the shakers. But
yes, come on now.
The change.
Yes.
Everybody has it in them, but it just comes in a different form. So find these people, and I'm still go back to the same thing of talking to people, take them off for coffee, and just networking. Also, I also wanted to add, because it just crossed my mind, vote in every election,
Yes, ma'am.
especially your local election where you live. You'll see
Yes.
what the issues are.
Yes.
So can someone new run for office? They certainly can. Is it going to be hard? Yes, it will. But if you have lived in the town like I did for 33 years, that was hard too, because I was running against an incumbent. You have to be competitive by nature. You
Yeah.
cannot be soft-spoken. You can be, but you have to bring that other side out, because whether you're outspoken or not, you have it in you. So bring it out and let your views be known.
I hear that. And I love that advice. I think that's the thing. Whether you've been in an area for five years, 1 year, 2 years, of course, there's some requirements residency wise. But other than that, during that time when you're cultivating that relationship, there's a relationship with your community. If you're running for local office and you just got up from your couch and you're like, I'm going to go put my name on the ballot. You want to go out there and you want to be a part of this community. And as Ms. Debra said, find those movers and shakers, those people. That's old school. We say that back in the day. Find the movers and shakers, the people out there doing something, and go do something. And that's going to build up your reputation within the community. And then it's going to be very easy. I want to ask this other question from Dallas. And she's, Debra, what is the thing that you felt was the most outside your comfort zone when you ran, and how did you manage pushing yourself through? I'd love to hear your authentic experience.
Well, I really like meeting people, and my first, based on my character trait, I'm really one-on-one development. What was outside of my comfort zone was things like this, being on social media and talking. So I just had to practice. And the more practice you have, the better you become. Am I expert? Absolutely not. Am I like on Channel 5 News? No, I'm not. But I'm better today than when I first started. So don't be so hard on yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. Right. Grace. I've always extend yourself grace, right? Because the thing is understanding and grace to you. Because in reality, you're not going to walk into this thing completely knowing. We said it before, we'll say it again. You're not going to know it all. But the reality is there's going to be some things that you may go through. And we understand that. We know that. You can prepare for those things, but stuff is going to show up, right? They were like, stuff's going to show up. As much as you prepare, stuff's going to show up. And so I want to give you an opportunity. We're at 9:56. It happens so quick. It comes so fast. We could talk all day. But any like last minute tips? These women are on the line. They're like, I hear you. I'm loving it. Some of them, I'm hoping you all have moved just a little bit, even if it's from a 2 to a 3 in your curiosity or even your level of feeling a little more qualified to step into this role. What's your last closing thoughts? And I'll kind of hit this last question. Daria says, she said, how do you stay true to yourself? And closing thoughts with how do you stay true? And we'll kind of go there.
How I stay true to myself is following the 3 Ps. Because it is a balancing act of career, family, and your political aspirations. So you have to keep everything in balance. And that is time management. Time management is a key, and getting your support from your family first, friends next, and then the community. Because without your family's support in all of this, it's kind of fruitless. So
absolutely, I love that. And I think it's a good place for us to wrap this, because here's the truth, right? Like, you need the support. It's not just the votes, y'all. It's not just going out there and getting people to vote for you. It's making sure that you have a support system, a network system, and all of those things. And you can start doing that. Debra, back me up here. You can start doing that today.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you
Debra
can.
Roberts, thank you so much. I sure appreciate you joining us. If you all in the virtual world, show some love. Please give Ms. Debra some love. We thank you from She Should Run, our executive team. Thank you so much for being with us. Folks, this is what we want to do, is just have these real candid conversations with people who are out there doing and living the life and experience. Debra, if people wanted to reach out, connect with you, how can they find you? And just, are there any others? Are there social media sites or ways that they can help you on your journey?
Yes, Debra Roberts Select Board, or you can contact me by email, droberts@stoughton-ma.gov. Yes, or through through your organization, she can run.
Absolutely.
She should run. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. You're good. So now, folks, you may be asking yourself what's next. You're feeling energized. You're ready to dive in and get started. Step one, go join that She Should Run community and continue the conversation. Our next event is on 23 February. It's at 1300. That's 1:00 Eastern time. And we're going to have political strategist Rebecca Tweed. She'll be logged into the She Should Run community to answer your questions in our first ever She Should Run Ask Me Anything event. So this is a community exclusive event. So you got to create your account and be ready to log in on the 23rd and chat with the political strategist, just like you chatted with Deborah today. Next, I want you to check out the She Should Run starter kit. Kathleen's going to drop that link in the chat, and all of that information that I discussed here today and more can be found in that starter kit. And before we close out the webinar, I just want to go back and you go back to your regular scheduled program. I want to invite you one last time to pass that virtual hat in support of She Should Run. So I shared with you these webinars truly are a labor of love for our team, but they do require a commitment of time and dollars to make it happen. So consider making a small contribution towards our work to help keep resources just like this one free, to keep them available to women from all walks of life. So Kathleen's dropped that donation link in the chat. And just remember, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so donations to our organization are tax deductible. We're going to give you that survey link as well. It's going to be in the chat and it will be emailed to you. We ask that you please complete it, and we welcome your feedback and hope that you remember that no matter where you came from or what you look like, your unique perspective is needed in government. And folks, please remember that the She and She Should Run is you. I look forward to seeing you in the community, and I thank you so much. Thank you again, Ms. Deborah, for being here with us. Blessings on your journey and have a wonderful day. Ciao.
Thank you.